Oshkosh Media, opening access to local government on GovTV, providing a community voice on Life TV, and community-based radio on Oshkosh FM.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstroh of Oshkosh Media and Assistant City Manager, John Fitzpatrick.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest news and updates right here in the city of Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstroh, and today we are joined by Assistant City Manager, John Fitzpatrick. So John, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Emily.
It's great to have you. We've got a lot to talk about as always, so we're going to go ahead and dive into the first half of our show with some hot topics. Then we're going to take a little break, and then we'll come back with a preview of some of the highlights of the Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, May 22nd, 2018. So, John, first thing that we want to talk about is going on right now this week. It is National Police Week, right. May 14th to the 20th, and it's just a really special time to appreciate our police officers.
It is. You know, the police officers, I just can't say enough good things about them. They're super dedicated. They're very involved not only in their jobs, but also in the community. I know Chief Smith and Assistant Chief Shaney, you know, stress that, and it's not something that they do just because those folks stress it. They really believe in the community and are very involved, and it's just a way for us to recognize what they do and the commitment that they provide to keeping our community safe. And
one of the focuses of Police Week is also to remember police officers who have lost their lives,
right.
In the line of duty when they're trying to keep their community safe.
Right.
And so we also do that throughout the week, is just remembering that. And then actually today, Thursday, this week, there was a law enforcement memorial ceremony to commemorate and remember our fallen officers. So this took place right outside City Hall,
right.
Between the safety building and City Hall, out in the parking lot.
Yes, yes. And it is nice. It's a chance. You know, everybody's busy in their life, and sometimes it's good to just take time out and think about some of the sacrifices that people make, as public servants and police officers. Some of the other protective service folks are firefighters. Their responsibilities are great, and we provide a lot of trust in them. And some of the sacrifices they and their family need to make in order to keep everybody safe are tremendous.
Definitely,
so we appreciate everything they do.
Yes, we appreciate our OPD. Of course, the National Police Week goes until May 20th, but that doesn't mean you need to stop sending them love. So next time you see a police officer, make sure you say thank you for all the work that they do, and also follow their Facebook page, because they've been posting updates on National Police Week all this week. So moving on, in our hot topics, John, we want to do a little bit of a recap for Unity in Community. Now, this took place on May 5th, a couple weeks ago. We haven't had a show since then, and it was a huge success.
I thought it was too. It was the first try at it, but I know there were a lot of people that were involved. I know you were involved. The mayor was very much involved. We were fortunate to have people assist from all different parts of the community. I know Sylvia Carey Butler was very much involved from the university and applying some of her expertise, and representatives from all kinds of different groups. The Hmong's Service Association, there's just too many to really even mention individually, so I apologize for not mentioning everyone.
There's a lot of people that made this event happen, like you said, on the steering committee and the volunteers that were there. We can see the lake flies. There was the first official hatching at the Unity and Community, and so those are going to start popping up at different locations throughout the city, done by local artists. That
was cool. It was a cool mix. I was there with my wife, and actually my mother-in-law came with us. She loved it, and they had dance groups. They had
Food, the good food.
Food.
Oh,
They had
food's
art, dance, music, and they had educational booths. They had a lot of family activities. They had activities for kids to participate in, and it was really nice. And I think it's just going to continue to grow year after year.
Yes,
Had a lot of good feedback.
Oh, definitely. The community really, it was the perfect unity event for the community. So
Right.
we're already planning for next year. I think they're continuing to do the lake flies as well. So just continue to follow the city's website and Facebook pages, and you'll get updates on those as well. Moving down for our updates, John, we hate to toot our own horn here, but Oshkosh Media has a few really exciting updates. Last week we hosted the Wisconsin Community Media Conference right here in Oshkosh, and as a part of that, we participate in the Best of the Midwest Media Fest.
Right.
So we did pretty good this year. 6
Yeah.
awards, 6 excellence awards.
That's awesome.
To the Oshkosh Media team. And what's really special that we want to state on this program is that one of them was the City Manager's Report 500th episode / top 10, which is really cool.
Right.
And also the State of the City event coverage that we did. So we were super duper proud of those things.
Oh, absolutely. I know you guys are very modest. You and Jake and Scott and John Urban, certainly also as your supervisor too. But, you guys also do a tremendous job. For
you.
a very small group of folks, you really create a tremendous connection with the community, not only through some of our video, but also on the radio, through our social media. Just really opens up the activities that we are involved in to the community, and I think connects the community in a special way.
Definitely. Yeah, we work hard all year long, so we're honored to accept the awards. So we'll hopefully be making some sort of a formal announcement on that on Facebook and maybe a media release, but we wanted you to hear it here first on City Manager's Report.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I heard, since you had the conference here, that people thought that the awards were somehow shifted in your direction.
No,
Is
not
that
at
true?
all. No, not at all.
Okay, good.
I
Set the record
I think we
straight.
submitted a lot of these before it was decided that
Okay.
it was in Oshkosh. So, but it was a good year for us, and
That's
so
good.
it made it even more special that we got to accept that many awards this year.
Right, on
in
our home turf.
On our home turf,
That's
yes,
right, good.
definitely. Also recognized there were a couple of community producers that won awards, which was really special.
Right.
And then our Friends of OCM group did win a significant community program award too.
That's
so
awesome.
Overall, just a great time. We were excited to host all of our other media centers here in Oshkosh, and we're already starting to get some good videos together for next year's
That's
Media
good.
Fest.
That's good.
Another little Oshkosh Media update that we want to give here, and this is another, you heard it here first, is we did a major master control update here, and although a lot of people might not realize what master control is, it is kind of the brain of Oshkosh Media. It's where all of our programming comes out of, what gives us the capability to put our content out there on Life TV and Gov TV. So a few updates, as you can see, if you've ever seen a picture, those empty racks before this update happened were completely full of DVD players. So we're switching completely to digital service, which is really exciting. Continued service will keep going. We're still live on Life TV and Gov TV, but a few of the new things is that will be HD online 24/7 for both channels, as long as the content that we're creating is
Right.
recorded in
I know
HD.
we were working on this and planning for it for quite some time, so this is very exciting.
It's huge, yeah. In addition to the HD online, we also will have Life TV live online, which is new. Before that, we only had Gov TV, so both channels will now be available online on our website and on our YouTube channel. And then, in addition, if you are a cable cutter and you don't have cable, we will also be available on the Roku and Apple TV. We're not yet, but we're in the process of making that happen. We'll be giving you updates on when that's going to happen, but that is a huge, really exciting thing that we're available in all these new ways.
Absolutely. Just more ways to reach other folks.
Definitely. So yeah, we appreciate everyone's patience while we were out off the air as this update was taking place. And again, a shout out for Jake Tim, who made this all happen, because it was a big project. So we're kind of glad it's over.
Yeah.
And then last here, John, we want to give a little bit of a plug for the Senior Center's Food Truck Fridays. It's coming up on June 15th.
Right. If you've never been there, it's just, I think you have.
Oh, yes, I have.
But it's just massively popular. It's just kind of got a life of its own.
South Park comes alive.
I think when they first started this, they thought, oh, this will be kind of nice. It's kind of a fundraiser for the senior center, and people just go crazy for this.
Yeah.
They come from all over the place
They
to come
come
to this
from,
thing.
well, I mean, and there's so many options. There's 12 food trucks,
Yeah.
which I think every year that they've done it, I don't know if this is the second or the third year, but there's 12 food trucks. It's from 5 to 9 p.m. They always have really great entertainment, local music, live music, raffles.
And I think people are anxious too, shaking off the winter blues to
yeah.
get out there and just soak up some sun and try some food truck and maybe some beverages and music. That would be
yes.
something to look forward to.
Beer is available, which is always a highlight
Right.
for people like you and me, John. Soda,
Absolutely.
water, things like that.
Yes.
So June 15th is the kickoff day. There's going to be 3 big days. So June 15th, July 20th, August 17th, 5 to 9 p.m. Follow the Senior Center or Parks Department on Facebook. They're going to be giving updates, but highly encourage people to get out there.
And, proceeds go to the senior center. So what's better than drinking and eating for charity? That's what I always say.
It doesn't get any better than that.
No, absolutely not.
Awesome. Well, then, John, we're done with our first half topics, so we're going to take a little break here on City Manager's Report, and when we return, we will take a look at the preview for the Common Council meeting agenda. We'll be right back on City Manager's Report.
It is sad but true that for years, some people have been using storm drains to dispose of their wastes. Sanitary sewers take waste from bathrooms and kitchens and clean them up. But storm sewers do not treat or clean up anything passing through them. Everything that enters a storm drainage system is eventually discharged into a stream, river, lake, or bay in exactly the same form as it entered. One of the responsibilities of municipalities that operate storm sewer systems is to prevent what the EPA calls illicit discharges. Illicit discharges are any discharges of non-stormwater into or through the storm sewer. When illicit discharges enter surface waters, they can kill wildlife. They can suffocate plants and fish, destroy breeding and nesting areas. Never pour or dump anything down any storm drain.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now we're in the second half of the show, so it's time to take a look at some of the highlights for the May 22nd, 2018 Common Council meeting agenda. So, John, getting right into it here, under consent agenda, we've got a few items that we want to cover. First one being the approval for the conditional use permit for an indoor food production facility at 610 Leeward Court. And this is kind of an interesting one because it's not just any food that's being produced here.
It's not a huge issue, but we were just talking about Food Truck Fridays before the break, and we'll start the second half talking about food too. This is a conditional use permit for the production of coffee. So that's something that I know is special for you.
Oh yes,
so,
near and dear to my heart.
Right. So it's not necessarily a coffee house, but it is the opportunity for coffee production to take place.
Yes, so I believe they'll be grinding and roasting coffee beans at this location, and then you just might see them starting to pop up at various restaurants and local places to purchase those. So we're really looking forward to having that, and I kind of wish I lived closer to this place because I bet it's going to smell great.
I think the neighbors will like it too.
Moving down after that item, we've got the amendment to the 2018 CIP budget and award bid, and this is for the Libby Nicolay Watershed / North Main Street Area Detention Basin, and it's $4.7 million. So this is a huge item. Tell us a little bit about it, John.
Well, I know City Manager Roloff has spoken about our stormwater management program here in the past, and this is just another addition to that process that we're engaged in. There are, I think, over 100 watersheds that cross the city of Oshkosh. And for people that aren't familiar with that, they're all named and they run from outside the city through the city and drain to Lake Winnebago. And Libby Nicolay is one of those identified watersheds. And for every one of those areas, we have assessed how we can manage the stormwater there. Because as the city gets more and more built up, there's more and more impervious surface. And we were talking about in the break, I think there was a clip that talked about illicit discharge and, you know, making sure that our waterways are preserved. And with more and more impervious surface, there's more potential for runoff. And with that runoff comes additional things that are unpleasant for homeowners too, like flooding. And so we need to manage that. We love the water, and we need to protect it, but we also need to protect the homeowners and consider the buildup that the city has and manage the stormwater in a way that's safe for the community, and make sure that we don't contribute to discharges into our waterways that can affect the water that we use for drinking and recreation. So this is a basin in that Libby-Nicolet watershed area. It's one of several different projects that are underway. And I think it's going to be a nice addition to our overall program.
Definitely. And thank you for the background on all of the different repercussions that can happen as a result of stormwater too.
Sure.
Not only flooding, but the groundwater, the drinking water, everything.
Yeah. I think people look at some of these basins or retention ponds and they think, gee, you know, why is this necessary? It doesn't really make sense. But it's great to live near the water. But you know, when you have that set of circumstances, I think you also have to think about how you can manage it in a way that doesn't adversely impact our citizens.
Definitely. And if you've ever had flooding at your house, I think you appreciate and understand the importance of
Absolutely.
that. So
Oh, yeah.
looking forward to more conversation and discussion on that at the council meeting. Right after that, we've got the award of a bid for the water main and lateral relay and miscellaneous utility repairs. Also not a small number at 1.5 mil. So tell us a little bit about what this project entails.
Right. This is really the infrastructure that's put in place in advance of our pavement replacement programs. So in the past, we'd use pavement distress inventories and just look at the surface of the roadway and put a rating on there and try to determine, okay, how can we prioritize these projects? What are the worst roads? But now we really take a 3D view of that.
Right.
It's not only the surface, it's all the infrastructure underneath. It doesn't make sense for us to repair a road that's in poor condition and then leave 100-year sewers underneath that.
Sure.
Because we'll have to then rip that road up, accrue additional cost in order to fix that infrastructure. So we really schedule our capital improvements program with that three-dimensional view in order to make sure that we're using the taxpayer dollars in the most efficient way we can. And what this is the infrastructure in advance of those pavement replacements. And I just have to mention too, as an addendum to the bids that were placed for this, we're also taking a look at the use of PVC pipe. The city of Oshkosh right now pretty much uses ductile iron exclusively for all of our infrastructure. But we've done a little bit of research and looked into the possibility of us using PVC in the replacement of some of the ductile iron, or in the worst case scenario, some of the stuff that isn't iron that we use for some of the pipings, in areas that we can do it safely.
Right.
In some areas, only ductile iron is appropriate to make sure that groundwater isn't contaminated. So I think in the Public Works Department, they're looking at a variety of different ways to make sure we're cost conscious, but also safe for the community.
Definitely. Well, some great background on that too,
Yeah.
on you know, what is all included in a streets project, not
Right.
just the surface, and then always looking at new ways of doing things to you know, better spend our money and also to keep our citizens safe. So
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Right.
Moving down, kind of on the same vein here, is approving the Safe Drinking Water Loan Program for financial assistance with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. Now, we've talked about this, I think it started about a year ago, so tell us a little bit about how it's been going and what this is.
Well, I think, you know, it really stemmed from the unfortunate circumstances that took place in Flint, Michigan. You know, I think a lot of people saw that in the national news, talking about some of their drinking water contamination. And I think folks nationwide, communities nationwide, have looked at the use of lead pipes, and it really is a matter of when some of the structures were constructed. A lot of the older structures, and we have some older homes in this community, have still lead laterals. So it's a program whereby the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources understood that it may not be possible for people to just absorb the cost for replacing those laterals. So they have partnered with a lot of municipalities to develop programs whereby people can just plan to replace those laterals with more modern infrastructure, get rid of those lead pipes, and then there's a program in place where people can, pay that off in a reasonable manner. So it's
Sure.
not quite so expensive for them. So that's really what this is about.
And it's a great opportunity for citizens that might think that they do have a lead pipe.
Right.
So if you do think you do, go ahead and call the Public Works Department, 236-5065, and they're happy to help you out and kind of take you through the process of
Right.
testing your water and finding out if you do have a lead pipe, and then next steps after that.
Right?
So really great program, and we're happy to be continuing it this year. Moving down on the agenda under pending ordinances, we've got the consolidation of the Grand Opera House Advisory Board and the Landmarks Commission. Now, this is something that we've talked about several times on CMR, John, and this was a big project for Mark.
It was.
Tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening here.
Right. One of the things that we're experiencing here at the city, we have a variety of different boards and commissions, and over time, it seems like we just get more and more. And I think it's a good business practice to just take a look at what is the charge of these groups, what are they designed to do, do we have duplication of duties across different boards and commissions, and getting people to participate is sometimes challenging too. We can't do everything that we would like to do without full active citizen participation. So it was a goal that was provided to City Manager Rolla, so we took a look at all the boards and commissions, took a look at what their responsibilities were, and then thought about ways where some consolidation could take place. And this was one area where the council thought it could make sense. We had a group, the Grand Opera House Advisory Board, that was primarily just involved with our facilities maintenance folks on the upkeep of the Grand Opera House. But as I think community is aware also, we have a Landmarks Commission that takes a look at all kinds of historic structures in the community, and the Grand is a historic structure as well. So, rather than have separate bodies with some unique skill sets, operate independently, the idea was forwarded to maybe they could kind of pool their resources and work on things jointly.
Yeah.
And that's really how it all took place.
Excellent. Moving down under new ordinances, we've got the repeal and recreate section 1736 for the inspection service fees for public nuisance affecting property usage. This is dealing with the rental process, the fee structure, Act 317.
Right.
If you can briefly take us through this, John.
Sure. I know that in the future the council is going to have a workshop just to talk about the total impacts of Act 317, but this is just a preliminary activity that talks about the fee structures, whereby some of the structures that we had in place in the past are no longer consistent with the new law. So there has to be some adjustments to make sure that we're in concert with that law, and that's what this is about. And as I mentioned, further analysis of 317 will take place at a future workshop.
Excellent. And moving down, we've got a few items dealing with liquor licenses, which is no new topic to the council lately.
Right.
So they're going to be talking about a new process of how the liquor licenses are handled in
Right.
Oshkosh.
There's going to be some individual activity talking about individual licenses, but I think the important point for the citizens to be aware of is City Manager Roloff, based on his experience, provided some mechanisms for the council to consider in terms of managing these licenses. And providing a process whereby we could provide these licenses to the people that are interested in them in the most fair and efficient manner. So that's really what these individual items are going to be connected to as we move forward.
Okay.
So I think you'll hear more about that too, not only in the individual resolutions, but I think later on in the agenda they're going to be talking about that process too.
Definitely, yes. A few items on for future agenda items. So it's
Right.
definitely not the last conversation that we'll be having.
It'll be
this.
pooling those licenses and then disseminating them in a way that's most efficient.
Right. Right after that, we've got the approval for the plan for constructions of a Casey's General Store at 2322 Jackson Street. Another item we've also discussed on CMR, so tell us about that.
Right. People are familiar with some of the existing convenience stores we have in the community. I think Casey's is a new entrant into our marketplace here. And I have to say, we've worked with them on a variety of different projects, and they've been very amenable. They know that we have a variety of different standards dependent upon where they want to be in terms of how they need to have the development take place. And they've been very accommodating and understanding that depending upon what the surrounding neighborhood may involve, they need to build their structure accordingly. So that's refreshing to hear.
It is, definitely.
And this is just one of their new stores on Jackson.
Yes, and so we'll be hearing more about other location possibilities, and definitely just stay tuned to the Plan Commission meetings for updates on that. We got a couple minutes left, actually, so we're going to breeze through some more items here.
Okay.
Sidewalk Cafe by the Granary, exciting stuff that we're kind of implementing in that side of the city.
Absolutely. More and more walkability taking place in the community. I think that's exciting, and with that comes different options like sidewalk cafes, and I think the community is really going to enjoy that.
Still plenty of room to walk or wheel on wheelchairs, so
Very safe.
Just a nice little addition to that location.
Right.
Item after that is the approve access agreement for Oshkosh Corporation Global Headquarters construction.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's just continued dialogue. I know City Manager Roloff has talked about that in the past. This just deals with the access agreement to their headquarters through Keller and Panoqua.
Excellent. And then on the last page of the agenda, we've got a budget workshop coming up for July 25th at 5 o'clock, and that is an exciting meeting. It's the kickoff to the process. They'll be talking about the timeline a little bit.
Right. That's just the first component. We have a variety of different workshop sessions. The first session really is primarily an overview, talks a little bit about some of the things like compensation, benefits, how that impacts the budget. We get into a little more detail. So that's the first one. It's going to start on July 25th at 5 p.m. in 404. And then there'll be a variety of sessions that culminate in approval of the budget, usually right around Thanksgiving time.
Excellent. So we'll be showing that live on GovTV. And under a city manager announcement and statements, it kind of goes into, like you said, the schedule that they're going to be on, talking about the calendar. Will that be available to people as you move forward?
It will be, absolutely. After this is discussed with the council, then that information all made available to the community. And there's really two components. There's the operating budget that funds the operations of all the departments. And then there's the capital improvement program that really funds large capital items. Could be building improvements, could be vehicles and things like that.
Excellent. So the process is beginning, and
it is already, yes.
A lot to be learned as we go through these workshops
Right.
and these meetings. The final item that we want to talk about, and we definitely can't skip this one, is the Oshkosh Transload Facility ribbon cutting ceremony coming up on June 13th at 3 o'clock. Really a cool project that's finally coming to fruition here.
It really is very cool, and I think people don't realize that it's one of the few transload facilities that will be managed by a municipality. And I think there's maybe one other transload facility in the state of Wisconsin.
At all. Yeah.
Right? And for people that don't know what it is, it's an opportunity for us to use rail to transport all kinds of different materials, and the possibilities are really limitless. So if you have an opportunity to check out that ribbon cutting, I think it'll be interesting, and we'll have more information on that as we move forward.
It'll be an interesting ribbon cutting. It'll be really cool. There might be a train involved in that somewhere.
All right.
So a
You
little
know more
teaser
about it
for
than
you.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be great. So once again, June 13th at 3 o'clock. So
Okay.
that we are just out of time here on CMR, John. So once again, thanks so much for filling in
Okay.
for Mark and joining us today.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM or in your TuneIn radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. As always, don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, you can send it to us on Twitter, post it on our Facebook page, or email it to us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. So once again, we'd like to thank you for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.